Oh, I see. What is up, everybody? Good morning. It's your boy T-Shroom here. In for Tim is having a couple technical difficulties, but the show goes on. The show goes on. We're going to get into the names. We're going to get into some headlines. And of course, we're going to get into this blistering Bitcoin chart, Ethereum chart, maybe even get into some altcoins, asking the question, is altcoin season upon us? Is Cardano going to be the next to pump? We're going to be answering all that and more. Guys, we've got some crazy headlines from Turkey. Their central bank is doing some pretty wild stuff. And then Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg might be ready to get into the ring together. We're going to cover some of the details surrounding some of the rumors that they may be organizing a little wrestling match in Vegas. So a lot of exciting stuff coming on, but I'm not doing it alone. Piper is with me here. Army Piper, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Trades are doing fantastic. Bitcoin is in a consolidation phase right now, and I'm watching for it to have more move. And I just wish that Tim was in here with us right now with his technical difficulties over there at the Hit Network. So
Yeah. Yep, you can't have perfection 100% of the time. And if you like that quote, you're going to love the next quote here. I've got up on my screen, and that quote is as follows. It's from continuing our theme here at the office. Says, "Would I rather be feared or loved?" Michael said, "Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me." So that's an epic quote there from The Office. You can't say it any better than Michael Scott. There, he's full of them. He's full of a lot of really good quotes. Well, I don't think that Tim is on quite yet. Again, we said he's had technical difficulties. So why don't we go ahead and get into the macro news here? Piper, you can run us through. And
negative
there's
T-Shroom. We have to read. We have to read names.
It's the second time. It's the second time that I forgot to read names. Let's go ahead and get into the names here. According to my clock here, a Mellow Fellow and Crypto Pew Pew Cruz were the very first names in today's chat. So big shout out to a Mellow Fellow and Crypto Pew Pew Cruz. I'm also seeing Eric Wallen. I'm seeing Mr. J. I'm seeing Ninja Glock. Ninja Glock, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good morning. Eric Wallen again. Crypto Alchemist. Alchemist. Justin Eubanks. Elo Brown. All right, Elo. Hope you're having a good morning. I got OBC, Yer Navarro, Curtis Rorick, Mike
Hey,
Lowry,
can you guys
and
hear me?
Mike Volmer. And Tim
Yes.
Warren is now joining us. Tim, how are you doing this morning? I don't know if we're ready to go to your camera quite yet, but I can hear your sultry voice. How are you? How's that beard?
Listen, the beard is fine. The computer is down. I don't know. They've been messing with settings downstairs on the computer, and I don't want to mess with too much because they said I messed with too much the other day and it messed up the basement. But you guys get to see an insight into my office real quick. Got the mindset poster behind me. This is not where I normally sit. I normally sit over there, but they're putting in a new window. That's TJ's desk right there. But they're cutting a new window. So my normal place for a desk is behind the plastic curtain. But
Gotcha.
I'm temporarily moved for the day. So you guys get a little background of what's going on here.
Yeah, those are some good looking headphones. I like those. Well, we were halfway through the names. Let's keep going. It's
Oh yeah,
good to
keep
have
going. Yeah.
Tim back on. Curtis Rorick, Mike Volmer, Rick Wilson, Gia S, and Isaac Jones. CBD Suddy, a Mellow Fellow. I think we've already got him. Barry, OC Pet Doctor, Bitcoin Rules, Crypto Trades in the chat. Big shout out to Crypto Trades. Williest, DJ Monty, Crimson, Caravan, company. I think we'll cut it off there, guys. If we didn't get to your name, it doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means that we have to move on. And Piper, why don't we go ahead and slide right into the macro news now? We can go ahead and get our download of what's been going on in the macro. So take it away.
Yeah, let's do that. So check it out, guys. Overnight had some information come in. Let's go ahead and zoom. Let's get a little zoom going on here. Here we go. Last night, early this morning, I should say, Bank of England came in with their interest rate decision. Was prior was at 4.5%, and then they said it was going to be 4.75% for the forecast, 4.75% for the consensus, with a 25 basis point rate hike. Actually came in with a 50 basis point rate hike. They are now at 5% out there at the Bank of England. So while we're pausing, they're pumping. So, but the big one, guys, that I want to show you here. Let me we can grab it here. There it is, Turkey, guys. Wow. They were previously at an 8.5% interest rate. The consensus was that it was going to come in at 21% and forecasted to be 30%. It only came in at 15%. Only 15%, T-shirt. I don't even know how to take that information and process it. Guys, their inflation rate right now, I believe, is like over 30%. This is just insane. I couldn't imagine paying 15% interest rate in the United States. It would be mind blowing. So, yeah. That is what we have there for the interest rate hikes decisions here. Let me go ahead and jump in, go into the countries here and remove, because I wanted to show the UK and Turkey on that stuff this morning, because that was big news that came in. Get back to the United States stuff here. Fed Chair Powell testimony, and we're going to be talking a little bit about his testimony yesterday. This is part 2 on day 2 of it, coming in this morning. Well, he'll be continuing that. And nothing major for the rest of the week. However, we did have something with jobless claims. Here we go. Continuing jobless claims came in the U.S. This morning, and it was at, let me grab it here. Initial jobless claims, 264,000 static. They actually thought it was going to go up to 200, down to 260, up on the forecast to 271. Came in neutral on the initial jobless claims for this week. So not seeing any weakening in the labor markets. Go ahead and jump over to Trueflation, see what it's saying. It's saying 2.39%. So it is coming down. Yesterday used to give this little thing over here that would tell us how much it went down overnight, but now it's hidden up here. So down 1.4 tenths of a percent. So coming in at 2.39, still coming down on the Trueflation side. And if we look here, guys, we're going to talk about this today too. I think Tim and I are going to have a little convo about this, because Bitcoin liquidations, guys, $81.72 million in liquidations. $52.5 million of that Bitcoin liquidation were in shorts. So people keep saying this is it. It's going back down. They get into their short trades. And the more people short right now, guys, on Bitcoin, the more they're getting absolutely wrecked. Looking at ETH had $51.7 million in liquidations, and 35.9, almost 36% of those have been shorts also. So you do see that there are some long shorts in here, but that was because we had that big crazy wick up and then pulled back, and we're going to be looking at that here in just a minute. So looking for the exchange liquidations by exchange, Binance #1 coming in with almost 71 million of those in the past 24 hours. So total overall liquidations in the past 24 hours that cost the entire crypto market is at 224, almost $225 million in liquidations total. So not good at all. I'm going to jump over to Brocam though, because I think I got all this fixed. So here we go.
There we go. I've got one chart I wanted to show really quickly, Piper, if you could go over to my screen. This is investing.com, and this is the current rates across the world. The first one is the United States. We're rocking out at 5.25%, and then the ECB is actually quite a discount there, 4%, and then the Bank of England, you can see reflected of their latest 50 basis point hike there, 5%, and then it becomes vastly less relevant the further you go down. Bank of Canada there, 4.75%, and then Bank of China, 3.5%. So just going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a reference. We can go back to Brocam, though.
That's a whole lot of ouch right there, T-Shroom. Whole lot of ouch.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Tim, what do you think about that? What do you think about those liquidations? I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense as to why that's happening the way it's happening. And by the way, just in case people are wondering, Piper, was this
Yes,
not what we discussed here just a couple of weeks ago? That when you
it
get these
absolutely is.
explosive dips, it's like a setup, man. This is what they want you. They want to convince you that the doom and gloom is coming, and they set you up for a bait and switch where they wait to see that the longs are entered because they can see, just so you guys know, people can see when there are longs in, there's shorts in. That's what Piper's looking at every single day. And then when they saw those explosive shorts, that's when it was like, all right, time to pull the trigger. We can make some money. And boom, it's not even that hard to pump the price when you got that many shorts to liquidate. That's exactly what ended up happening. And that's kind of what we warned you guys about here a little bit ago. So, again, one more reason to make sure you guys are tuning in to the Investing Bros on the daily basis. A little bit different this morning, though, Piper. So, also, let me know, guys, what the audio is like. I'm on my laptop. I literally
It's not
struggled to
bad.
the last second I could. Good. Okay. I struggled the last
It's
second
not
I
bad.
could on the computer down there, but we're going to be a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing TA today on a trackpad, which I historically hate. So that'll
Oof.
be fun. Those who do TA,
Have you shared that screen with me? Because I don't think you have. Oh
I
yeah, you
haven't
have.
yet, but I'm going to. I shared this screen. We're going to skip the CME futures today because the CME futures, it's nothing's happening. It's the same exact spot we were yesterday and the day before. We're more than likely in July going to get a 25 basis point rate hike, unless something major changes. And if so, we will go ahead and tell you guys that. But go ahead and share my screen here, Piper. This is what's bigger of a concern to me. Open up, you have a thought real quick?
Yeah. First off, we got a super chat, and if you want to read off
Yes.
that and talk about that, I want to get your screen set up while you're doing that. So
All right. Well, yeah, super chat. Speaking of super chats, Eric Wallen says, I'm going to be a dad again. Wife is 8 weeks pregnant. Congratulations, my friend. That is amazing. Always glad to hear. You know what? Before we get there, we're setting up my screen. Oh, there we go. I think, well, no, hold on. I don't know if we got there yet. While we're saying that, I was thinking about it last night. So I'm sitting there holding Brody, my son. And I know Tishun, you are not here yet. You're not in this fraternity of fatherhood just yet. But as I'm looking at Brody last night, I just had the epiphany. I'm like, what calling in life is there greater than fatherhood? No matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, I'm not saying you can't be a man unless you're a father, but there's something about like when you're a father and the things you get to do as a father that refine who you are in your character, in your personality. It is a blessing and honor, and it is a challenge. I mean, I've only been a father for 4 weeks now, and I already understand it's a challenge. But it's at the same time, I'm like, what other calling is there in this life that's richer and grander than being a father or a mother? And if you can't have kids, being a father or mother to somebody who has no mother and father, I think it's part of what makes us human and what makes us better people to be mothers and fathers in this world. That's
I'm
my epiphany I had last night.
uh,
Yeah, what's your thought, Piper?
before you go into that fear greed index, I am going to give a shout out to the community because I am a dad. My kids are all grown butt men now, to be family friendly there. But the most biggest enjoyment I get now is mentoring and teaching people in this community. So
Yeah,
much
yeah.
much less argument and debate with our community than my kids at this point. So.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Bitcoin Rules said, "Am I the only woman?" I don't think you're the only woman, but there's I think Gia's here for sure. Usually here. I don't know if I read her name this morning or not, but
Shannon
shout out to all the
Sharp.
women. Shannon Sharp. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to all the women who are
we have
watching.
quite a few.
Yeah. Like I said,
All the crypto
mother.
ladies.
Yeah, being a mother or a father is awesome. But yeah, okay, let's talk about this real quick. This Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is sitting in the green. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not seen a green Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index in quite some time, and that means we are in the greed and it is looking bad. We're up to 65 after yesterday being at 59. Here's the thing. We're going to talk about this when we get in the charts here in just a couple of minutes, but I want people to understand this is not a good thing. If people are sitting here saying, "Oh, it's green. Green is good. Greed. Oh, we're doing really well." No, 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 no. Greed is just like we said before, when things flash and crash down into fear and everyone's afraid, people take advantage of that and look for short liquidations that they can take advantage of. When you start to flash into greed, what happens when we get into greed? Well, a lot of retail investors and traders end up kind of saying, oh, look at this, everything's, it's a shoe-in, let me go enter a long position. And then a massive amount of longs end up piling up, and they take advantage of that and they liquidate the longs. My point here, I don't think the Bitcoin rally is over. We're going to talk about that here in just a second, but I want people to be aware as you start to flash into greed, you definitely want to be hyper alert, looking for the peak, because the peak will come, and it will come with a vengeance that will drop very quickly with what we're seeing. I do expect, guys, I'm not going to, there's lots of ways you reverse. We can go back to Brocam here for just a second, Piper. There's lots of ways to reverse, and we're going to talk about that on the charts, but I am not expecting this next reversal to be a Bart Simpson pattern where we kind of trade sideways. Do not be surprised to see our top, this next top before we dip back down, to be a what do they call it, a blow off top. Do not be surprised to see a blow off top. With that said, you can go back and go to my screen. We're going to be talking about TA here, and this is going to be fun, guys. Stay with me because I'm going to be on a trackpad today. Oh, and look at that. All of my settings, they did not go through, and so I'm not using the most up-to-date versions. Oh, this is the fun stuff. We're going to go with it anyway, guys. It'll give me everything that I need. First thing we're looking at here, daily chart. I'm going to go and put this down here. Daily chart right here, guys. We made a push back up. We didn't touch the exact top that we made back here in, when was this? This is back in April, when we touched and literally kissed $31,000. Instead, we came over here and we kissed 30,800. You're going to see right there, it says 30,771. If I were to go and zoom in here, there was a split second yesterday. And the reason I know this is because I was looking at the charts as we had it, that down here in the corner behind my face where it tells you the price, we saw a flash to 30,800. The question is, will this rally continue? Let's take a look at a couple other things, though. We are seeing the orange box come in on the daily chart, guys, saying that we are overbought. I'm not necessarily too freaked out about this just yet. Again, I think we're going to push through this, so it's something to keep your eye on. What I'm mostly looking for, I want to see, is not only the OB pop up over that orange box, but potentially let's get a secondary, either a red reversal triangle, bearish divergence, which we're not going to get the bearish divergence. It's just not going to happen here. So we're looking for that red triangle, maybe even a peak seeker to pop up as well, to be some strong reversal here. But when I start to come down, there's a couple things I'm seeing here, Piper, that and T-shirt that I'm looking at. And I'm saying, hey, this makes me a little bearish. This makes me a little bullish. What I'm sitting is, I think we have higher to push. The problem is, though, is that it's going to be coming back down on the 4-hour chart alone here, guys. This right here, this is what we call our RSI Prime. This is a free RSI brought to you guys by Chart Prime. It peaked out at 98. That's not a great start, but look at when it peaked out. It peaked out way back here. So we still have a little ways to say that we're regrouping here on the 4-hour chart, not necessarily as drastically as we are on the hourly chart. And this is where I still think that there's some bullish momentum to come. You guys who have been watching this channel now for a while, you know we've talked about this concept of when we hit these peaks and we get these overbought signals and flashes, and the RSI is sitting up here. This one got up to 99 on the RSI. But then the price continues to move sideways while the oscillators move to the downside. This is like a reloading. You also could call it a little bit of a bull flag. If I were to use this tool right here, we have a little bit of a bull flag forming right here. When we break through, I'm not 100% certain, but let's just pretend for a second that we can predict this. Let's go ahead and make our prediction. This would be our flagpole right here. I'm going to go ahead and not go all the way to the peak. I'm just going to stay a little conservative. Let me just start at the bottom of this flag, the way this has it posted. We move this over. This would give us a breakout prediction all the way up here towards what price? About 33,500, give or take. Now, this is an interesting price prediction because I'm going to talk about a little bit here in a second about why I think 36 is another one to keep your eyes on. However, that price right there, 33.5, is very interesting, especially when you pull up our Chart Prime Market Dynamics Pro, which I have to sit here and come in here and play with. So what I'm going to do here, let me turn off my enable predictive ranges. I'm going to play with the multi-time frame. I want to use the 4-hour. I want to use the 12-hour. I want to use the daily. Where are you? There you go. And I'm going to change this so it's very clear. The 4-hour will all be green. The 12-hour will be orange. And then my daily will be blue. And then there's different settings in here that you can play with. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and use, I believe I want to use midterm on this one to give us some good prices going on here in just a second. But there we go. Boom. You guys see it popped up behind. If you're in the midterm, orange, the orange was the 12-hour chart. This is a strong level of resistance sitting right here. So I think, while I do think there's a decent chance, I'm going to talk about 36K here in just a second. I think there's a decent chance that we end up getting a push up here towards 33.5 and potentially have a little bit of a pause right there, with two different things kind of calling for that to happen. Now, another reason why I think 36, not only, guys, have I told you guys in the past, let's go ahead and take this down. Thank you so much, Market Dynamics Pro. Let's go back out to more macro. Got to go out to the weekly chart here, and let's go back and look at fixture and join profile out there. Let's look at the Fibonacci all the way back to the top of the bull market. And let's do this once again. So I'm going to kind of come there all the way to what is the bottom of the bear market. You guys can see this 0.382 is technically saying 35,800. I would expect a wick at least to touch 36. We also have another one sitting up here towards 42. Keep your eyes on that. But I was talking with Piper this morning, looking at this. And those of you who have been in our Discord, you guys know that we have a friend named Elliot Nachi, who is an Elliott Waves expert. And I was looking at this with Piper this morning, and I was saying, you know what? I want to get Elliot Nachi's theory on this, or take on this. But what I'm seeing happen, if you guys are looking at this, we have this nice blue level of support. We're setting higher highs and higher lows. That's why I think we're going to set another one. But using our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phases, let's go right here. So we got one phase, boom, right here. Second phase. Now we have our third phase all the way here. We have our fourth phase. And now the question is, where does 5 go? So I'm going to go ahead and let's just, for right now, let's put it up at that same level, 35,800, 36,000, give or take. Let's go right there. This is going to be interesting to watch, guys, because something that Elianachi taught us, there's a webinar that we had that if you were in our Discord, you got to be a part of. And he talked about the bullish waves of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you're moving to the upside, and how the 3 is never going to be the shortest wave. If the 1 wave is longer than the 3 wave, then we know that the 5th wave is going to be short. But if the 3 wave is longer than the 1 wave, now that gives the 5 wave a little bit of leeway here. Well, my point here would be, I think it would be appropriate to go ahead and say, I think we're going to match the 3 wave. In fact, if I were to measure this 3 wave right here, going down to
That's
the low
exactly
we had
what I
back
was
in
going to
March.
ask you to do.
Yep. And then we go up
Yep.
to this one right here. If we were to match wave 3 of this Elliott wave system, guess what that would give us? Boom, right there. 36,159, and that's to play with. Obviously, I'm on a daily chart. I'm zoomed out. That could be played with a lot. It's giving us right into that area. You also could say, all right, well, what would happen if we use the same length as the first wave? Which, again, I'm more of a fan of saying I think that we're going to use the 3rd wave length. We could go a little bit longer. This wave would only take us all the way up here to about 34. That's not that far away from that 33.5 that we were talking about here just a second ago.
Only 34, Tim. It's only 34.
Yeah. I've told you guys before, I think there's a chance we make it to 42, but I'm just telling you right now, if we were to make it to 42, right? And there's other reasons. Again, we had the 0.5 level on Fibonacci. We had a lot of things. Look at how much longer of a wave that would be than the 3 or the 1. I want to get Elianachi's take on this. I don't want to say this as a person. I'm not claiming to be an Elliott Waves expert. But to me, I do not think that is the most likely of moves. Realistically, I think that a matching of wave 3 up to 36K and then an ABC correction of some type, potentially where we come down, retesting these levels. And then, I'm not even I don't know where this would go. I don't know if we go all the way to 25.2. I don't know if we retest 31. But the point is, we are going to be finishing. We have started and should be finishing a 5th wave that should be followed by an ABC correction. So, that being said, continue to keep your eyes on the charts, continue to keep your eyes on the news. But there's a lot of evidence saying that while I don't think this rally is over, I think some people are going to be faked out. And in the same way that people got faked out and were doom and gloom during this whole drop, and now we have shorts being liquidated, do not be surprised, guys, to see the price of Bitcoin come up here, get towards 36K, or I went too high, get towards 36K, people be convinced we're still going higher, and then we see a bunch of long liquidations. Here's what you need to keep in mind, guys. Bitcoin ETF, it is bullish. Yes, it is bullish. It's great news. It should long-term bring a lot of adoption and access to Bitcoin. But here's the thing, not all access is bullish. It'll also allow people to be able to short the price of Bitcoin at opportune times. So you still have to stay crafty, still got to use the charts, because that is going to be your best bet, not a perfect bet, the best bet at making the calls of what's happening as well as you can. And again, what we're seeing on the charts here, do not be surprised, guys, to see maybe a hesitation around 33.5 and then potentially a push to 36. And that might be the peak for this summer before the real bull market starts early next year. Now, I'm going to keep moving on here, though. We're going to move over to Cardano because you guys saw the title this morning. The title is that ADA was left behind. Is it its turn? We're talking about, is the altcoins about to rally? We see the Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to kind of bounce around here for a second. Bitcoin dominance clearly climbing over 50%. It's making its way. We got close, didn't quite get to 52%, but we're hovering above 51. Cardano kind of stayed below. You guys saw we came and set a new low for the year. Is Cardano, it's time to shine? Here's the problem, guys. I think the answer to that question is no. And in fact, I'm not even going to be looking at the Cardano chart to talk about this. I actually want to go back to the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we're going to scroll out and kind of look at what's happening here. Now, I measured some stuff back here. This is back in 2019. You guys know we've talked a lot about the similarities between what's happened recently in this coming out of a bear market versus what happened back in 2019. Has it been identical and perfect? No, it has not, but it has been very, very similar. Now, I have this range right here dated from the 26th of June up to the peak we had. I didn't stretch it all the way across. I apologize, guys. But all the way to about September 5th when we topped out. Technically speaking, we regained and matched this same height during the pandemic. But of course, we can't predict black swan events. So I'm going to say right now, looking at this area right here, I'm not going to necessarily use this. A lot of this had to do with pandemic. It says in 2020, December 2020, but of course we know pandemic played a large role in all of that. We're going to say with a move from here, we have a move from the 26th of June where we were down all the way at 60. What just happened? All right. Thank you. I don't know why my chart just reloaded, but the 26th of June, we were sitting at 64.44%. And over the next little bit, making its way into September, we rallied almost another 10% up to 73%. So now you got to pause here. You might be wondering, Tim, why are you bringing up the Bitcoin dominance chart from June to September back in 2019? Let's go back to the price of Bitcoin. Let's take a look at what's happening here for some context as to what those dates are signifying. Right here, June 26th. This was that rally peak of Bitcoin. So this was the top of the Bitcoin price before we dipped back down to former resistance level, turning them to support. My point is, guys, right now, Bitcoin is rallying and the dominance is climbing. But when Bitcoin reverses, whether it's 33.5 or 36,000 or 42, history would say that the dominance will continue to climb and could give us an additional 10%. What that would mean, now fast forwarding to today, because I don't think that this rally is over. I gotta scroll though, guys. Again, this trackpad is the bane of my existence. I think there is a legitimate chance, guys, that we continue to rally up towards 55% during bullish action. So while the time Bitcoin is still working at moving up into the mid to higher $30,000 level, I think we make a move up here towards 55. And then while Bitcoin will end up moving to the downside, the price of Bitcoin, that one represents Bitcoin, the dominance will continue to climb potentially by as much as another 10% up here towards 65. Oh, this trackpad is the worst. I hate it, but I hope people are staying with me. I think there's a chance that we make a move all the way up here towards 65%. I don't know if we're rematching. I think it's going to take a lot to rematch the 73 that we had back in 2019 and then 2020. But do not be surprised, guys. This is the catalyst. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I had a feeling that Bitcoin dominance was going to climb. We've been calling that for a while, but I've updated. I thought the peak was going to be closer to that 55%. Now that we're getting a fresh rally, I think that rally alone takes us to 55. And then the dip that comes is going to push Bitcoin up towards 65. And what that means, guys, going back over the Cardano chart, is that while I think there's a decent chance that Cardano could make a push back up here, in fact, let me pull up, let's look at the fixed range volume profile. Do not be surprised, guys, to see a push on Cardano back up here towards 38 cents at the point of control, maybe get up here to 40 cents, where's the value area high, as Bitcoin keeps climbing, because it's going to climb with Bitcoin climbing. But then when Bitcoin starts to dip, Cardano and other altcoins will accelerate their dips. And I'm still expecting, guys, I'm still sitting here waiting. I think there's a decent chance Cardano's coming down into this yellow box, this 18 to 14 cent box that we talked about before. And because of this, we're watching, again, rally and then fall. Bitcoin dominance continues to climb. This is all kind of coming together and piecing together to make a little bit of a story that makes a lot of sense. Can I promise you guys with 100% certainty this is exactly how it plays out? No, of course not. But if history repeats itself, this is what this should look like. And when we see all these levels and we're compiling technical analysis from Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance and Cardano and Ethereum and the Dixie, and we're grabbing everything, this story is starting to play out like it is the most likely scenario we're going to see over the rest of this year. Piper, that is what I have for Bitcoin and Cardano. For all of our Cardano fans out there, I'm so sorry. I love Cardano too. I have a large bag, and I'm going to continue to build my bag because I believe in it long term. But if we're asking, guys, is Cardano going to set new highs just like Bitcoin on the year? The answer at this point, I believe, is a fat no. I don't think so. Piper, what do you have thoughts about that? And what are you seeing on Ethereum and XRP's charts this morning?
So I just want to show this is a Bitcoin chart, and I have my fibs here, and it goes back with the high being in April. So if I go to the Ethereum chart, well, hold on a second. Those fibs put Bitcoin consolidating right now in the platinum pocket here, guys. If I go over to Ethereum and we look at where its high point was that my fibs are based on, it is also going to be going back to find it, stand by. It is going to be going back to the high. There it goes. Back in August of 2022. Okay, and if you actually look at where it's at here, with the bottom to that bottom node, we're actually in the platinum pocket here also. What I find interesting is this. If you take a look at what's going on with Ethereum, let me stretch this out a little bit so you can see this candle action on the flag here, because we're seeing the exact same thing on Bitcoin with Ethereum. We got a rejection. We came up here. We hit the upper trade band of the predictive ranges, wicked perfectly to it, by the way. Candles closed below the 887 on the platinum pocket. And now we're in this consolidation. Guys, we really haven't pulled back on Bitcoin or Ethereum at all. If you actually look at what's going on here, we're just consolidating, retracement back, cooling off. But what's happening while we're doing all this? Well, we triggered reversal on the trend fusion oscillator. Overbought, cool off, ribbon twist, momentum dot down into the cloud, coming out of that bearish zone. MACD normalized here, starting to cool off on the fast and slow moving moving averages here. Histogram pulling off. Guys, this little pullback of consolidation on Ethereum and on Bitcoin is causing cool offs on all of our oscillators. All of these indicators that are saying, hey, we're way overbought, we're probably going down from here, so on and so forth, they're all cooling off to the point that they have more room to go again, but the price is not really dropping from those levels. It's just consolidating there, creating bull flags. This is very important to understand and very important to see, because this is what is causing way more shorts liquidations than longs liquidations. So these indicators are cooling off, but that is building up energy in the price action to go up again, while it hasn't really dropped very much, just consolidated. So keep that stuff in mind when you guys are looking at the charts right now. Everything right now is bullish sentiment. Looking at XRP here, XRP did wick up into the golden pocket. Also hit this breaker block that I was talking to you guys about yesterday. Down she came. Overnight, she did come down. You see this yellow line right here? That's actually my trade entry on my XRP. It actually came down into the negative last night, hit the trend assist and then bounced back up. So didn't close me out, didn't even come close to wicking me out. But it was quite the drop. So this is a really good understanding to show you guys what's happening. While Bitcoin is consolidating sideways and Ethereum is mirroring what Bitcoin is doing right now, some of these alts are completely losing all the gains that they had on that consolidation window for Bitcoin. So while Bitcoin's consolidating and staying in a range, the alts are dropping when it cools off. So that right now it's the time that you have to look at, and I'm going to brocam real fast for this, and I'm done on the TA side, Tim. But this is the time, guys, that you can't look at the charts and go, oh, it's got to reverse, it's got to reverse. Money coming in right now to Bitcoin is a lot of institutional money. This is not retail investors pumping this. There's some in there, obviously. I bought Bitcoin. I'm a retail investor, but there's a lot of institutional money coming in right now. You are not going to trade against institutional money flowing in. You're just not going to. You might catch a really quick trade, bam, bam, catch that like that wick up on the golden pocket, so on and so forth, or the platinum top 887, and get a little quick grab there. But you do not want to be holding a short trade right now, and you will be one of those statistics in the shorts liquidations. So be careful, guys.
Piper, one of the main reasons why what you're saying is true and that people need to learn, and I'm really hoping, the bros here, because all of you guys watching, you guys are bros if you're in our community. I'm hoping you guys are learning and you're growing in how you understand this. But just in case you're wondering, the average retail investor is always thinking short-term gratification. We're always asking us little guys. Most of us got into crypto saying, how can I make more money? I want to make more money, right? So to make more money, our brain tells us we have to make it now. We have to enter a trade that we take profit on maybe later today or tomorrow. We want to see those. We came to crypto because crypto is where you can get those 10x gains over the matter of a couple of days, if not weeks. Institutions wait years. They are the most patient. They are the best at looking at long-term gratification. So what they do, and one of the most advantageous things to an institution right now about crypto is the amount of inexperienced, uneducated, emotional retail investors that they can take advantage of, and they can say, you know what? Let's drop Bitcoin back to 25, and then let's pump it up to 36, and then let's dump it back down to 30,000, and then let's pump it up to 42, and then let's dump it back down to 35. And they just play with our emotions. And every single time these retail investors are buying tops and selling bottoms and losing money, and these institutions are buying the bottoms, selling the tops, because they're patient and they wait and they watch the charts and they pay attention to what's happening. And they have some cheat codes, guys. They have so much money. When you're able to invest and be trading with millions, if not billions of dollars at a time, you have a lot of power. So there's two things you guys can do right now. This is your little bit of education about trading. There's two things you can do after hearing what I just said. You can kick and scream on the floor and whine about how unfair it is and how corrupt BlackRock and institutions and banks and everybody else is. You can do that. But that doesn't do you or anybody else any good. The other one you can do is learn how to be what I call a sucker fish. You guys know that, like whale sharks. Whale sharks swim in the ocean. Hundreds of fish attach themselves to the whale sharks. They suck on them and they ride. That's exactly what us retailers have to do. We have to learn to think the way these whales are thinking and not complain about it, not fuss about it, but attach ourselves to their movements and their thought processes and be patient just like them. Whales aren't the fastest fish in the sea. And technically they're not fish, they're mammals. They're not the fastest beings in the sea, but they're the most powerful and they do the most. You got to think about it like that. You got to think about it like, hey, I might not make every gain today, but long term, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm going to move just like a whale, even if I'm just a little minnow.
Absolutely. And real fast, just so you guys know, because you guys have been following my trade, 28% on my Ethereum trade profit, 8.5% on my XRP trade profit, my Bitcoin trade, 36%. Have not sold out any of my Bitcoin trade. I actually added to it. So I'm not a statistic, not going to be a statistic. I'm planning at the pro level like the trading pros are that are called institutional money. So you guys have got to stay on your game. So, but that's all I got, man. Let's kick this over to T-Shroom.
Really quickly, I know that our flow is all off today, but this is the Investing Bros. I mean, if our flow was on, then what would we even be? There's a question in
Fact.
chat. Eric Brubaker said, "Hey, I noticed this morning that in the previous 2 cycles, at 588 days from the high, Bitcoin started an over 50% drop. That would take us back down to 15,000 for a double bottom. What are your thoughts?" I actually have been kind of working through and grueling through some of this stuff here in the office, talking with other people here, Frankie and DZ and AJ, and we just kind of been kind of reminiscing, thinking about this. I don't think a 50% drop is going to happen again, and here's why. The more and more we're moving in the direction we're going through it in Bitcoin, the volatility is getting sucked out of it. So whereas before we used to have these 13,000% gains over a bull market and then these massive 85 to 90% losses, this most recent bear market, guys, at this point has only been 77%. Now that's still pretty big, but it's not as much as previous ones. And then this rally, because if we're going to say, well, historically we fall by 50% before the halving, well, we also have to factor in the fact that we usually have been rallying well over 300% up to these things as well. Well, we didn't get a 300% rally, and I'm not expecting a 300% rally. So in the same breath that we're not going to get these pre-bull market rally percentages to match the past, we also shouldn't expect that the dip should be as severe. I'm sitting here, guys, right now, a pretty firm believer that 20,000, I think there's a chance I've heard a lot of people say we're never going below 20,000 again. Guys, there's a CME gap that technically goes down to like 19,800, like 19,850 or something, right? I would not be surprised to see the price dip below 20,000 and just make everyone who's been saying we're never going below 20,000 sound like an idiot, but just barely fill that gap and then bounce back up. I think there's a chance that ends up happening at some point later this year. I'm not guaranteeing it. I think 95 is still very, very strong support, but do not be surprised to see a price dip back down and have a serious pre-bull market fall, but not necessarily as significant as 50% like we've seen in the past.
I
I
don't
see your
see us
face.
dropping. I don't see us dropping that low because my
Yeah.
786 on my long-term Fibonacci channels is coming in at like 20,700. I don't think we're going to break that 786.
I love it. Let's do this real quick. Go share my screen real fast. I put this on Twitter yesterday, and I'm looking at the Dixie, so give me a second, guys. Here we're going to go to the Bitcoin CME futures. This is what I'm talking about here, right here, guys. And we'll do a little more alpha here. And T-shirt, I know we're about to jump into other stuff as well. Oh, I'm still drawing. Don't want to be drawing. This gap, for anyone who's wondering, because some people think this gap's gonna be filled, but we're not going to drop below 20. Look at the candle. You always, on a red candle, you go to the bottom of it. This gap starts all the way down here. I had it listed over there, but I'll just say it again. It's 19,930. I misspoke. I would not be surprised to see this gap filled. And I understand, Piper, like you're saying you had it somewhere down here at 20,700 or so.
Yeah, it's actually coming in at 20,900.
20,900. All right, so you're sitting right here at the top of this zone. My point with this, Piper, would be, and we know Fibonacci levels are amazing with support and resistance, but not always perfect. We a lot of times have wicks drop through them, and then candle body closes.
I can go with the wick. But yeah. I don't see a daily candle closing down there.
I completely agree. My point here is the amount of people who are using this gap and looking at the top of this red candle and saying, oh, we might come down to 20,200, but we're never going below 20,000 again. And then you have, like he said, you have that platinum pocket sitting there, or golden pocket or platinum pocket, whatever it was. You have a Fibonacci level at 20,900.
Yeah, it's right? The 786. It's the 786 on that Fib channel that goes all the way back to the history of Bitcoin. So
yeah, I'm just not gonna be surprised, guys. Again, first of all, we could still defend 25 still, right? But if we lose 25 and if we make our dip down here, do not be surprised to see candle body closes stay up above $20,000 and maybe stay above that $20,900. But a wick that comes down here that dips below 20K and fills this gap, guys, we got a lot of gaps below us that I do not think you're going to fill. One as low as, what is this? We're all the way down here, $6,200. But I think there's a chance that this one still gets filled down the road, and that's going to be part of one, long liquidations and fudding out all the retail investors. But don't be surprised to see a price below 20,000 once again. I'm also not saying to set a buy order down here at 19. I think if you set a buy order at 20,000, like Piper's saying, 20,900, you're good, even if you're in the loss for a split second because we wick down below. But My point here is do not be surprised, just like we saw back here, that we dropped below that 25.2, but we didn't close below it. You guys notice how we didn't close candles. I think we didn't close a single candle here on the daily chart below the 25.2 level. We wicked below them. We started a day below them, and we jumped back up here on CME futures. The same thing's going to happen. No candle body wicks down here, no candle body bodies down here, but candle wicks. I think there's still a decent chance we end up doing that. That was a long spiel, but I feel like it was good, and a lot of people needed to hear it. T-Shroom, go ahead. I don't even know. Are we going to jump into to the stock market? Do we want to jump into stories? What's next? This is Investing Bros, where we do whatever we want to do every single day.
Yeah, I'm going to do an extremely quick, truncated market open, and then we'll get into the stories. Going over to my screen, Piper, I have the Nasdaq pulled up, and there is a uptrending line of what was resistance is now being tested to be flipped as support. Again, this is the Nasdaq. So this is kind of a big one to watch here, guys. Obviously, Bitcoin and the Nasdaq have strong corollary properties. You can see right now, you're getting a nice test here. It had a wick. This is the daily chart. This current candlestick has wicked down and is testing that. So we'll see. We'll see how that continues to move. You also see the proximity here to the premium range and the equilibrium range down here. It spent a lot of time hanging out by the equilibrium range before it went ahead and lifted off. Now it's been rejected by premium and is now kind of getting squeezed in between here, between this uptrending line of now support and the premium range. So we'll see if the NASDAQ has what it takes to push higher here up on these lower levels. So that's going to be our market open, guys. I'm not going to spend too much more time other than just to show you guys that crypto here is pretty mixed. You're seeing names like Optimism down 3%. That's leading the market lower, while you're seeing names like Cardano up 3% and AGIX up 8%. The AI tokens doing well. And then also Pepe up 17%. So you're seeing a rotation back into some YOLO meme trades. So kind of highlighting the exuberance in the crypto market, but you do see some red names and some names unchanged. I would be remiss if we didn't get into the mega cap tech stocks really quickly too. I feel like that's kind of something that's important here. You're seeing Amazon make a move higher here along with AMD, while ALB and Tesla are lagging, both down more than 1%. So that's going to be your market open here, guys. Again, be watching this this test of the uptrending line of support for the Nasdaq. That's going to be pretty much the most important thing in the market that I'm keeping a look at. Let's go ahead and get into our stories here. Going to start off with the Bank of England surprising with 50 basis point rate hike to tackle persistent inflation. The Monetary Policy Committee voted 7-2 in favor of a half percentage point increase, which takes the bank rate to 5%. The move defied market expectations, which priced around 60% chance of a 25 basis point hike. So the BOE over there really upsetting investors' expectation. Turkey's central bank hikes interest rates to 15% in dramatic U-turn to tackle the 40% inflation. Piper did an eloquent job of explaining that earlier, so we're going to jump right ahead. Crypto surges after Powell says it has staying power as an asset class. Getting to some of those details, he also said we see stablecoins as a form of money. Powell also indicated that inflation has a long way to go before falling to a level of 2%, but that the central bank's policy is likely to adjust as inflation tapers down. So that's their escape hatch, guys, that they're going to adjust their policy as inflation tapers down. So just as the market was anticipating, there is going to be a shift in the relationship between the Fed and their target rate of 2% inflation. That is big. That is, showing dovishness, very a soft underbelly to the Fed as they just want to see the market keep going higher. That's it seems like that's kind of their MO. So moving on into this headline here, Elon Musk says Tesla is coming to India as soon as humanly possible. This has led to a giant boost in the price of Tesla yesterday, but it also looks like kind of a topping pattern here as it's on the if you look at the weekly chart on Tesla, you can see that Tesla is actually trading outside of that upper Bollinger Band range, while it still is under a strong buy rating with the trend assist green. You'd have to see every time that it's traded outside of the Bollinger Band, it comes back in, and although it's sideways here, you do get big downward movements there. big downward movement there, giant downward movement there to go test the bottom of that Bollinger Band. And now we're in the same situation. So could Tesla buck the trend and keep going higher? I don't think so. I think these headlines, I think, oh goodness gracious, I think these headlines are going to help it move higher, but I don't think that I don't think it's soon enough, right? I think it says soon as humanly possible. That could be 3 years before you see the first fresh Tesla get sold there in India. So moving along, guys, that's a little stock update. That Tesla is probably going to make a move down, but wherever it finds support on these charts, could be a good buy opportunity. Maybe back down around 225, something like that. All right, I've got a speculative headline here, guys. We usually don't cover gaming developments, but Gods Unchained hit Epic Game Store ahead of mobile expansion. Why is this big? Why should you care? Well, because Epic Games, if you don't know, is the company behind Fortnite, right? So Fortnite, huge game. They also make Cyberpunk. So they have some really big names, right? And so this company or this game, Gods Unchained, has NFTs integrated. It's a long running NFT card game. And so basically the thought here is that if NFTs are coming to one of the biggest gaming marketplaces, Epic Games Store, that could be kind of what the crypto gaming industry has been waiting for. Is I earn a sword in Gods Unchained, right? And that sword is an NFT. It's immutable. It belongs to me, right? Or it's non-fungible. It belongs to me. Then I can transfer that and back into the store, and I can list it in the store, and I can sell that in the Epic Game Store. That is not on offer yet, right? But this headline is kind of marking the next step towards that possibility, which is the golden utopia for crypto gaming. All right, our last story here is Musk picks Vegas for Zuckerberg cage match. We teased this a little bit in the intro, and yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. The Twitter owner and Tesla CEO Elon Musk suggests Vegas for the location of a cage match after reportedly being challenged to a fight by Facebook co-founder Mark Zuckerberg. Nothing would be better for the media than for these two guys to go head to head in a safe and secure match. The only thing that would make it bigger is if Logan Paul was the one to be the referee for this fight. I think the only way you could get it bigger. So that's good. That could be big. We'll see. Piper, what do you think about
I
this?
don't
Who wins
know.
the cake?
Do you think Logan Paul or Joe Rogan as the referee?
Oh man, it's just
Oh,
icing on
that's a
top any way
tough
you
one.
look at it. I know Joe Rogan's a commentator. I think Logan Paul's got to be the ref.
I think the tickets should be sold in Dogecoin now.
I like it. I like it.
Maybe.
I like it.
Or
So
how
who
about this?
takes?
How about this? I got this one, T. We got this. Joe Rogan and Logan Paul commentate because Joe
Yeah,
Rogan's is also Logan's also a speaker more than just a bit. But
for
then
sure.
here's what we do. Here's what we do. I got this. The referee is actually Jeff Bezos because we don't care what he thinks about the fight, but he can referee it, and that could
Yeah,
be an interesting
yeah.
bout.
I would give this to Zuckerberg. You guys may not know, but if you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, you listen to Lex Friedman. Zuckerberg has actually been doing a lot of jujitsu. He's got a lot of time on his hands over there at Meta, I guess. Whereas Elon, as we know, spends every minute planned
Okay.
out, and he may not be as trained in the arts
What you're
of martial
what,
arts.
what you're miscalculating, T-Shroom, is that Elon Musk is the real life Tony Stark, and he is Iron Man, and he will robotically enhance himself to where it will be impossible for Zuckerberg to win. I
How
got
do
my
we
money
not
on
know?
Elon.
How do we not know that Elon Musk is? We haven't seen the real Elon Musk in several years, and he has several AI robots walking around playing him. We don't even know
I
that.
mean,
We don't know.
he
We don't know.
is Tony Stark. He is Tony Stark, and he will win because he's Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, we've got a
Yeah.
little time here. We could talk about some of the other headlines here. What do you guys think about the general pivot of Jerome Powell, kind of putting another checkbox in this trend of major financial institutions kind of warming up to crypto? Um, so I want to throw it over to Piper. You mean you've seen BlackRock, you've seen Fidelity saying they might buy Grayscale, you've seen BlackRock coming out with their ETF application, spot Bitcoin ETF application, and now Jerome Powell yesterday in his speech kind of saying that crypto has staying power, really getting on the sidelines, getting out those pom poms, and going hardcore cheerleader mode for crypto. Is this a fake out? Is this scary to you? Do you not like to see so much establishment backing for crypto? What are your thoughts here, Piper?
No, I'm actually going to write him a note right now. Dear Chairman Jerome Powell, welcome
Yep.
to the party. We're glad you finally realized that crypto's not going anywhere. Yours truly, DGen Army Piper. That's it.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like
So
it.
yeah,
I like it.
I just wrote him a letter. No, come on, man. Kevin Mr.
Kevin
Wonderful.
O'Leary.
Oh,
Yep.
Larry, thank you. Was saying that it was going to be an asset class a long time ago, and we know he's a tool. Jerome Powell, I'm surprised that he's just now finally realizing that this is going to be an asset class. So yeah, welcome to the party. We're glad to have you here. Buy Bitcoin and hashtag XRP Army.
But Piper, it sounds like you're just kind of going with the flow here. You're not ready to put on your tinfoil hat and say that there's something lurking below the surface that may be
No,
kind of a bait and switch.
no, the slow movers of the government's world are starting to realize what we investors have known for years now. So
Cool.
if you
Yeah.
can't beat them,
What do you
join
think,
them.
Tim? Now,
Well,
Tim, you're not someone who usually has opinions on crypto related stuff, but do you have something on
yeah,
this?
yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't thank you for that.
Until you can think of
Uh,
something.
I do not think that was a coming out party of support. I don't think that Jerome Powell was coming out and saying, "Oh, well, Bitcoin and crypto are pretty good. They've been really resilient. This is awesome. I think I'm a fan
It was
now."
defeat. It was
I
defeat.
I think it was an admission of defeat is exactly what it
Wow.
was.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. I mean, look at how many people have been screaming that the Bitcoin bottom was not in, that we're hitting that 11,000. Of course, you got your very enthusiastic technical analyst out here calling for 3,000 still for Bitcoin to this day. But realistically, I think a lot of people had gotten on that 11,000. I mean, a lot of people are on the 14,000, 13,000, 11,000, 10,000, $9,000 boat, right? There's a lot of different levels people came in at. Let's just call it 11,000 though, for the sake of argument. And I do think that there was a lot of effort put in by Gary, by Jerome, and by banks to push crypto even lower. Here's the problem is that the banks got caught up all in it and they ended up killing themselves. This goes back for a long time. We're not just talking about Bitcoin's been resilient for the last couple of weeks. Guys, we're talking about the last couple of months as Bitcoin was continuously being trying to get squashed. Crypto was trying to get squashed. And guess what? A lot of cryptos have been wounded. But the efforts have been defeated because the plan was to try to kill. Like, yeah, altcoins are bleeding, guys. Yes, altcoins are super low, but the plan was to kill them and they're still alive. Bitcoin, the plan was to get it down to $11,000 to $9,000 and it wouldn't lose. It touched that 15.5 and then jumped back up and won't even lose 25 at this point. Now, I think that when the banks get their hands on it, these ETFs come out later this year, I think there's a chance that we do get a push down to 20,000. But even that, I think the hodlers and retail investors and whales that are already in it from a decentralized perspective are going to put up that wall right there around $20,000 and say, we're not going past this again. It's not going to happen, right? I think that what Jerome Powell did was an admission of defeat, but notice the other comments that he said yesterday. He started talking about CBDCs. He started talking about stable coins and central bank stable coins, which are CBDCs, as a valid form of currency. Guys, do not forget that the master plan here was, again, they at one point wanted to kill crypto. They found out, they've known now for a while they can't kill crypto. They just couldn't say it yet because they needed to keep delaying everything to get the CBDCs ready. Now that the CBDCs are close and ready, now they can talk positively about them. Now they can say, oh, yeah, crypto's resilient. It's actually doing pretty well because it doesn't matter to them that they admitted defeat because they know that their real Trojan horse they wanted, CBDCs, are ready to be used.
Yeah.
We'll see what
Well,
that looks like. We had a lot of governors still saying that they're not going to allow their states to utilize them. But I'm interested to see what happens over the next couple of months.
no,
But Jerome Powell sounds confident CBDCs are here and ready to
Yep.
go.
well, no, it's interesting that you say that, Piper. If you go to my screen, there is an article from Watcher.guru. I originally was referencing the Yahoo Finance article, for the staying power as an asset class quote from Jerome Powell there. But there's some more key details around CBDCs here. Let's read them out. This is from Watchdog Guru. We do see payment stable. This is quote from Jerome. We do see payment stable coins as a form of money, and in all advanced economies, the ultimate source of credibility in money is the central bank. Wow, Powell remarked. We believe it would be appropriate to have quite a robust federal role. Additionally, Powell noted that the Fed has staff members who have participated in discussions regarding the regulation of digital assets. Conversely, he discussed the deployment of CBDCs, which have been a popular point of discussion following the arrival of the FedNow system. Powell states that we are a long way from this. All the statements provided by the Fed chair seem to align with acceptance of digital assets. Moreover, they reinforce that the Fed is embracing the asset class and is seeking to implement it in future actions, observing the ways in which it moves forward with its presence assured. So that provides a little more light. Obviously, the key here is we're a long way from this, which is kind of in contrast of what you see from the ECB. So that, I don't think
here's the
really
question, T-Shroom. Yep. Do we trust that Jerome Powell is giving us that accurate information, saying we're a long way off?
Well, the thing with the government is, like, when they might say that's a long way off, and if all things stay the same, then yeah, I believe them. But the thing is like, things change. We're about to go through an election season. What happened the last election season? Well, there was a global pandemic, right? And so there's these events that happen in the world that have second and third order outcomes, and some of those outcomes, I think, is a reaction, right? There was a reaction to the pandemic, which was vaccine mandates. That was something that, the American people, at least, were not ready to accept. A lot of the American people. So when you play the tape forward going into 2025, 2026, is there an event, maybe a financial event, of which we're seeing the early rumblings of, that the solution is a CBDC, right? And so that we're not, and suddenly that not anytime soon quote, gets thrown out the window. Just like today, we're starting to see that 2% inflation rate target kind of thrown out the window in a quiet and reserved and sophisticated way.
We got to wrap it up here. I want to kind of close this thought, though, T-Shroom, on this issue, and then we'll close out. Let's just think about this, though. Crypto should not be a bipartisan issue, or should not be a partisan issue, but it is. Who are the most outspoken anti-crypto people? Democrats. What are we seeing happen right now when elections come? The Democrats are not only facing opposition from the Republican Party, where even Trump's not a pro-crypto person, but I think at this point, most people are under the opinion that if he gets into power, he will not be an anti-crypto force, the likes of Biden and Elizabeth Warren, right? But we have pro DeSantis. There's also Suarez, the mayor of Miami, is now running. He's pro Bitcoin. And now the Democrats are facing opposition within their own party. And RFK is actually doing decently well, according to the polls. Here's my thing, T-Shroom. If RFK or if any Republican wins the presidency and there's a swing in the power, you're not going to get CBDCs through. What is the only way that they're going to get CBDCs into the system and try to pull some weight? They got to do it before this next election. That's why I don't believe Jerome Powell that we're a far way off. I think that's a little bit of trying to soften people's defenses so that the penetration can actually come a lot more powerfully when it happens. They got to get it done soon. They got to get it done before the next election, because they might miss their shot unless they take it. We got a lot more to unpack there, guys. We'll talk more about that. We got another show tomorrow. We got to close it out, guys. But love every single one of you. Make sure on your way out you smash that like button, guys. We are the Investing Bros, the most generous crypto community out here on YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. You guys have a great day.
Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing pros.
Investing bros.
We are investing bros.
Investing bros.